Climate change, the IPCC science, a clean air video. Climate is change its typical behavior in all regions of the world. The excess of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere is leading to global climate changes. The World Meteorological Organization and the United Nations Environment Programme created in 1988 an Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC. The IPCC has produced publications which are the main reference in the climate change subject. Especially the last IPCC report in 2007 evidences the climate change effects on temperature. In the end of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century, we can find the warmest year since the temperature has been recorded. The IPCC Air 4 report in 2007 points out the global character of climate change as well as its anthropogenic origin. All the meteorological stations of the world report a rise of mean annual temperature. There had been also an increment in drought frequency from 1990 to 2002, according to Palmer Drought Severe Index. Droughts and flooding will be very probably more frequent, which could bring several consequences to agriculture and society. One of the current evidences of these incremented extreme events is the more frequent and intense El Niño South oscillations appearances. One of the main achievements of IPCC are the emission scenarios, the family of emission scenarios from A1 to B2. The scenarios changes according to the economic growth, the concern of environmental issues by the government, the convergence between regions in the world, and the global growing. The B1, A1B, and A2 have been the more used scenarios, and they are equally probably during the 21st century. The IPCC projections are based on 23 general climate models outputs from 11 countries and institutions. The best case scenario, P1, predicts a temperature rising of 1.8 centigrades at the end of the century, whilst the worst A1F1 scenario predicts a mean rising of 4 centigrades. It's interesting that even in the hypothetical case that no emissions of gases could be found in the rest of the century, there will be an increment of temperature anyway due to the gases that are already in the atmosphere. Even though the global character of the climate change, the expected warming will be higher at higher latitudes and lower in the ocean than in the land, so it's not homogeneously distributed. On the other hand, rainfall will rise in higher latitudes and will diminish in the tropical areas. Some regions, as the Mediterranean, should expect very probably lower rainfalls in the future, particularly in the summer. The dot points in the map refer to coincidences of several model outputs. According to those modeling outputs, the estimated runoff for 2041 to 2060 will be strongly less in the Mediterranean area and particularly in Spain. On the other hand, the atmospheric CO2 enrichment could have a positive effect on agriculture since photosynthesis will be incremented. However, recent free air CO2 enrichment experiments do not confirm this positive effect due to effects that are controversial. Finally, the IPCC fourth report about Europe points out the difference between North and South Europe. Indeed, the south of Europe will be the most perjudicated region according to climate change, high temperatures and drought in a region already vulnerable to climate change. This is highly probably according to IPCC report. Thanks.